Hey, what's going on, beautiful jellyfish? It's Tracy. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Today I'm going to be doing Let's Not Be Basic with Lands Part 5. I've already done parts 1 through 4. I will list them in the down bar below if you want to check them out. This is just a series that I have on my channel where I talk about lands that you could run in your EDH decks that are really good, and some of these work in like specific decks, so I wanted to kind of talk about them. I'm not sponsored by EDH Rec, but I really like them a lot. They're listed in the down bar below, and they give you like recommendations for cards that you can run, but also lands that you could run in your deck, and I get a lot of these from there. So all the cards will be listed as well in the down bar below, and some of these are a part of cycles as well. So the first land I wanted to talk about, I don't know what a lot of these cycles are called, so I apologize. Slow lands, fast lands, I don't even know. But the first land I wanted to talk about is Smoldering Marsh. I realize I need to make this a little bit bigger because I can't see. And I don't know if y'all know, but Google like changed it so when you click on images, it goes to the right of the screen, and I am like literally blind. So my computer is like here. It's like about a little bit more than an arm's length away, and I'm struggling reading it because I can't see far distances. That might be even close to reading. I don't know. Maybe my eyes are going for reading, probably. Anyways, Smoldering, oh my god, I still can't see it. We're zoomed into like 200%. Okay, that's great. I can see it now. Okay, so the first land is Smoldering Marsh. Enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. I think these might be called slow lands or fast lands. I don't really know. But what I really like about these lands is that they are fetchable because they have the land type on them, swamp, mountain. One thing I will say about this cycle is they only come in the enemy colors. I believe they don't come in the ally colors yet, which is a huge bummer, and I believe we are going back to Zendikar. I'm pretty sure, so I'm assuming that this land cycle will be in there, which will be really exciting because I really like these lands and I run them in almost all of my EDH decks. It's just a really, really good thing to pick up. They're not very expensive. I think they're all under like $5. Some of the foils are around $5, so a bunch of them are just less than that, which is really affordable. So if you cannot afford dual lands, which is probably the majority of people watching my videos, I'm assuming, this is a really solid alternative. No, they're not like honestly, if you're playing a really, really competitive like deck, these like probably are not going to be the best things because you want lands that like enter the battlefield untapped at all times, so you can always have access to your mana. But I mean, that's not the majority of people that I know. Like, that's not the EDH group that I play with, and I'm assuming that's not the EDH group that a lot of y'all play with, so, because I'm definitely more on the casual commander side. Great. The next lands, I really like these. Again, these are on the slower side, but I don't know what this set is called, but Rocky Tar Pit is my example. So it comes into the battlefield tapped, you sack it, and you can search your library for a swamp or a mountain, and you put it onto the battlefield. So what I like about this is it's not a basic, so you can actually get the first land cycle that I was talking about, or you can get your shock lands if you run those, and, or you can get the other ones that are the cycle lands, which I think I'm going to be talking about those in the next series, but yeah, so you can get any of those. It does come into the battlefield tapped, but there's definitely ways of untapping this, or honestly, even if it just, if whatever you're getting, you can even get a basic with this, right? So you could get it the following turn untapped. They're definitely on the slower side, but I do like them because you can get your shock lands and your other lands, and that land doesn't come into the battlefield tapped, so I do like these. The next card is Arc of Orazca. This is colorless, so you can run it in all decks, and I really like Arc Orazca. I think I run this in like all of mine. It is a lot of mana. You get Ascend, it's no problem, but it's 5 mana to draw a card. But honestly, I can't really think of a lot of other lands that do something similar to Arc of Orazca, which is interesting because I feel like you would think that there would be a lot that do it. But let's be honest, drawing cards is like the most powerful thing in Magic. Even if it's on a land, especially colorless, everyone and their mother's gonna run it. This card's really cheap cost-wise. It's only about $1, which is awesome. Again, 5 mana is a lot, but when I find myself activating Arc of Orazca, it's when I have nothing else to do with my mana. I have card draw in all of my decks because it's my favorite thing to do in Magic, draw cards, but I don't frequently activate this unless I'm in a desperate situation where I just need to draw cards. So that's like this is kind of like a worst case scenario type thing. It doesn't enter the battlefield tapped, which is really great. So if you do have this, you can immediately draw a card, or you're probably going to do it at the end of your opponent's turn. Overall, I really like this card. It's not OP busted, dumb. It's not like super powerful, but and it is only one card, and you can only do it when you have the City's Blessing, which literally, it's not going to be a problem, like, at all. And if you're running this in a blue deck and you don't have a lot of permanents, you're probably going to be running other card draw spells because you're running blue. But overall, I do like this card, and I think it's a very good inclusion in EDH decks. Awesome. Now I want to talk about I don't know what these are called, but I'm going to call them the cache lands, because when Horizon Canopy, excuse me, excuse me, was a thing, everyone would say like caching in Horizon Canopy, and then they came out with a cycle of these, which is super awesome, but they're only in, correct me if I'm wrong, the one color scheme, so they're not in the others yet. They're definitely going to be. I really like these lands a lot because you can pay 1 life to get any color, which is really, really good. And then for 1, you can sack it to draw a card. These are on the pricier side, and again, they only come in the 5 colors for right now. I do think that these are a really, really good inclusion in different EDH decks. I like that you're paying the life, you don't really care because your life total's like 1,000 in EDH, like it's so high. And you can have either color enter the battlefield. It doesn't come into the battlefield tapped, and you can draw a card, which again is the best thing to do. What I like about this card is that it's good in the early stages of the game when you don't really necessarily might need the card draw, so you can just use it as something to progress your board. But in late stages of the game, if you draw this, it's pretty much just a card that cycles. You can pretty much just boom, sack it, and then draw a card. Really, really good. I really like these cards, and I would definitely recommend you putting them in like all your EDH decks if you can pick them up. The next card that I want to talk about is actually a newer card that I'm speculating on that I think is going to be really good in mono black decks specifically, and that is Witch's Cottage. I actually want to get one of these for my zombies deck because I don't have like any lands in there that are not swamps. Like everything is there. I think I have like Nykthos and I have Urborg. No, Urborg makes everything swamps. I'm sorry. I think I have like 2 other cards that are not swamps, but like every other card is like basic because it's mono black. So that's why I think this is great in mono black decks, because if it enters the battlefield untapped, if you control 3 or more other swamps. So this does not include it. So you pretty much can play this on like turn 4 if you have no other way to mana accelerate, which you're playing black, so probably not. But anyways, enters the battlefield untapped. You can put your creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. There's definitely cards that are similar to this, but I do think that this card is a good, solid inclusion. I really like this in zombies because you can bring zombies back. Also, it's like the theme of zombies is like bringing it back. This card is definitely on the more specific side, but I think it's the best card in this cycle from Throne of Eldraine. I do really like this card. I think it really only belongs in mono black decks because I think you're going to have a hard time getting this off if you have other things other than like swamps. But if you're someone who's like on the budget side and you don't really have a lot of specialty lands and you're looking for something to bring creatures back, I think this is a really solid inclusion in specifically mono black decks. Alright, then we're going to talk about Myriad Landscape. I really, really like this card, and it's really cheap, which is awesome. It does enter the battlefield tapped. What I like about this card is you can use it as a mana accelerator, so you can tap this if you do need it before you sack it. For 2, you sack it, and you search for up to 2 basics of that share a land type. You do put them on the battlefield tapped, but for 2 mana, you're basically getting, and for tapping this, you do get to put 2 lands onto the battlefield. They do have to share a land type, and they are basic, so again, this is definitely on the budget side for people, but I have this card in Omnath, and I have this card in something else too, and it's really, really good. Like, every time I play it, I'm like, oh, like, I play it on, like, turn like 1 or 2 or something like that, and then on turn 3 I can sack it and just have like 2 lands. Like, it's so good. Like, I really like this card. Again, only really works if you have a lot of basics, but I think on the budget side it's really strong. I want to talk about a couple of lands that I think work really well in mana accelerating decks that really, really care about putting lands onto the battlefield and returning them for ETB triggers, something like Omnath decks. So the first land is Ghost Town. I don't know if a lot of people know about this card. It's really strong. You can add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, and then for 0, you can return it to your hand. You can only do it starting another player's turn, but it's really, really good if you want lands entering the battlefield. Again, Omnath. This is a card specifically for that deck, or maybe like Mina and Den too. I haven't really seen a lot of people run Mina and Den. I think Mina and Den's really good. But anyways, I like this card. I think it's good. And very similarly to that, we have Terrarium Generator. However, I think this card can go in a lot of different decks. You can add 1 colorless to your pool, and then for 2 and tap it, you can put a basic land from your hand into the battlefield tapped. Really good if you're really, again, doing some sort of like strategy where you just want to get a lot of lands onto the battlefield. It is basic, so just keep that in mind. If you run a lot of specialty lands, this is not really going to be running. It's not really going to work very well, but this card is like really strong in Omnath. I really like this card, and I think it's a really good inclusion in that deck. And yeah, I really like it. Not a whole lot to say there. Another land that I think works really well in, this one's very similar to, what was the card that I just talked about? Oh my god. Very similar to Ghost Town is Undiscovered Paradise. You can add 1 mana of any color to your pool, which is really cool, and then at the beginning of the next untap step, you return it to your hand. A very similar bounce ability, but all 3 of these cards work really well in Omnath type decks, and I really like it. And the last card we're going to be talking about is a land destruction card, which is Tectonic Edge or Tech Edge. Yeah, Tech Edge is really good. It's a non-basic land that you're going to be destroying, which totally makes sense because you don't really want to be destroying basics. That's kind of silly for the most part, unless it's like they have like only 1 of that kind of basic, but you can only activate it if they control 4 or more lands, but not everyone can afford the more expensive land destruction options, and I think land destruction is really important in EDH. I'm not saying you should run like 5 land destruction cards in your deck, but I do think having 2 or so is fine. I do run land destruction in all of my decks because, not to be the person who's like a jerk or mean, but people run really aggressive specialty lands and it's really important to remove them, and Tech Edge is a really, really cheap option. It's like $1 or $2. It's very inexpensive. So it's definitely a really good budget option for destroying those lands that are really obnoxious that can really win over the game. Something like a Nykthos or a Gaia's Cradle or something like that. So guys, that is it. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really hope you liked this video on not being basic with your lands, playing some more specialty lands, and a lot of these are on the more affordable side. I always really like to talk about cards that are on the more affordable side because, again, I play more casual EDH, and I assume a bunch of people who watch my videos are doing that and are not looking to spend a lot of money on cards, and I totally get that. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next.